Today I'm walking out in an area that I like to come to a lot. I call it the boneyard because there's definitely some larger predators out here that like to feed. So I typically find a lot of bones out here. It's just an old, it's a slough off the Tennessee River. Just gonna walk and talk a minute. I like to walk out here every now and then. It's a little slick. It's been storming, but in the summertime, this water is a lot higher, and me and my wife would like to come out here and kayak down through here. But like I said, you do see a lot of signs of predators out here. But it's just a few things I wanted to point out. You know, people often ask, you know, if there really is an animal like a Sasquatch, why we don't see them more often. But from my experience, Sasquatch is a nocturnal animal, and they're harder to see at night. And just give you an example, I mean, a deer is something we see quite often. But then, how many foxes do you see? You know, you'll see one every now and then, but there's a lot fewer foxes than there are deer. How many coyotes do you see? You hear a lot, but how often do you see a coyote? Yeah, it happens. I mean, we do see coyotes every now and then, but you don't see as many coyotes as you do deer. You don't see as many foxes as you do coyotes. With that being said, this area has bear in it. And only a handful of times have I ever seen a bear. And there's a lot fewer bear than there are coyotes. And with that said, there are fewer Sasquatches than there are bear. So, with a Sasquatch being nocturnal, be a lot less of them. Now there's places where you do see a lot of bear, like you know, up in the Smoky Mountains. But you see those bear because they were brought in and protected. You know, there's some natural to the area, but like here, we've got bear, but we don't see them. Very seldom do you ever see a bear out here. But bones, like I said, I call it the boneyard because you'll see a lot of bones out here. A lot of garbage too. But for the most part, it's peaceful. It is getting dark, so the predators will start to come out. I'll walk a little further, maybe on the other side. Another thing I want to point out, this side that I'm on, you have a lot of fishermen. You can see the debris where the disrespectful people will leave their cans and trash behind. But on the other side of the water, you see very limited indications that man is going over there. Like I said, this water is usually not this low. It's usually a lot higher. But those woods over there are very seldom walked through. So there's a lot of areas for large animals to hide. Even if you look across the river, you see there are houses over there. Lots of houses, but then you see these wooded areas. And you've got to question, you know, even though you've got a house there, how many people are actually walking in those woods? We're going to go upstream a little bit. I'm going to walk on up the creek a little bit here in a minute, but I decided since the river is low, and when it's low like this, I like to walk down the riverbeds. Because normally, so this Tennessee River, normally the water is all the way up here. But in the winter months, you know, when they close the dam up, it dries these areas up where you can walk and explore. And then when they let the dam out, the water comes all the way up. But just a nice little area to take a walk. It's starting to get a little dark though, so I'm not going to go very far. There's a couple other places I want to go record today. See, we're on the Tennessee River, so you can hear the boats. The boat going by. It's so crazy how different one side of the river can be from the other. As you can see on the opposite side of the river, there's just houses and houses and houses. This side, it's trees and muck and swamps and just, I'm not going across this today, but because like I said, it's been storming, so it's muddy and whatnot. But this area back here, I like to walk in a lot. But it's a pretty swampy mess back in here, and it's a beautiful area though. Here's something stomping around in there. I'm gonna walk back before it gets too dark for us to see whatever's stomping around in there. But I have seen some big cats out here. Found a lot of deer carcasses and just assorted animals. I believe in some of the past videos you might have saw where I found you know, not only deer carcasses, but armadillos, possums. You know, like I said, there are a lot of coyotes out here, so, and some wildcats. I've seen some bobcat out here, and some a little bigger than a bobcat. you hear a lot more than you see. I'm glad the camera makes it look a lot more daylight than it is. It's actually getting dusky dark out here. Let's walk a little further. Go down the creek bed a little bit. Still hear the boats. Like I said, you just question yourself how often these woods are walked in. It's not many people other than hunters who walk across this field to get into these woods. I'm gonna walk down the road a little bit. I'll show you some of those swampy areas. Stepping over into the swampy areas. You hear a lot of animal noises, mostly the birds and the geese. Trust me when I say I've heard a lot of strange things out here. Seen a lot of strange things out here. But I guess the point of this video, I'm just trying to point out of how many places large creatures have to hide, because you can see how swampy and muddy, and in spots it's a little deeper, and you will sink in this mud over here. But on the other side there are woods. So most humans are not going to track across this muck to get into those woods. So like I said, there is a lot of places for a large animal like a Sasquatch to hide. And I'm going to dive deeper into that, because I do think Sasquatches, they don't stay in one spot. I do think they travel around, and I'll try to explain that a little bit as I'm driving out of here and point some things out. But we're going to spend a little bit more time here. It's just such a beautiful and wonderful place, and peaceful for me to come out here. It's just a shame so many people don't. I'm glad they don't, but it's surprising to me that a lot of people don't like to come out and enjoy this kind of beauty. And it is starting to get a little dark too. But this is where I was at earlier, the little slough that I told you me and my wife like to kayak when the water's higher. This is full and it goes pretty far back, but it's like a big slough, just open ponded slough area. But in the daytime you can look out there and you see a lot of animal tracks while the water is low like it is. But I enjoy these night walks. Like I said, the camera don't necessarily show how dark it actually is out here, but I guess my phone camera is a little better than I thought it was. But you can tell it is getting dark. It's not wanting to focus in. There's a lot of places for things to hide. Even at this time, where it's not completely dark, would you want to be in these woods? Let's go a little bit further down. Sometimes I like to come out here and just listen to the sounds. Because these woods really come alive at night. And still close enough to the river where you can hear these boats. Down the Can't hear coyotes in the distance. Don't know if the camera's picking them up or not. You can see still have some storm clouds in the area. But for the most part, the storms have passed. Can hear something walking over to the right of me. Too dark now to see. Don't have my headlamp on or any flashlight or anything. I think I'll start heading back towards the truck. I want to thank anybody watching these videos. I know they're not the most exciting thing in the world. I don't know if you can hear those noises. It's almost like a monkey sound. Now I hear somebody. And you can hear the geese start up again. Something's definitely got them a-going. Like I said, the woods come alive at night. There's things hunting out there. One day I've got to invest in some better equipment. I've got some good stuff not with me. I've got some night vision and things I didn't bring with me. I apologize, I know it is dark. That's Appalachia we love. These dark, spooky roads, swampy areas, and the sounds. And again, I've started filming these videos just because I spent years, and I'm not just a believer, I'm a knower, but I don't make these videos to prove anything to anybody. It's just I've spent the last 40 years of my life to some extent being mocked or treated like I'm someone who doesn't know what he's talking about. And there's a lot of people who claim to be experts on Squatch and never even set foot in the woods. And when I started, we didn't have cell phones with cameras on them. We didn't have the technology that people have today. And as my technology tonight is just my cell phone. So let's see if I can turn the light on the cell phone. There we go. Get a little light on the situation, but it's a very, very dark, I'm on a gravel road here, a muddy gravel road. As you can see, the light only get maybe 5 feet in front of me because you can't see all the way down this road. I'm sorry, my hand was over the lens. I hope you can hear these noises that I'm hearing. But it is feeding time for the predators. So I think we're going to head on up the road a little bit. Leave the animals to feed. And if you get out in the woods and want to search around yourself, just by all means be careful. Because there's a lot of things out here that can hurt you. But it's just something I'm enjoying doing and documenting. You know, well, most nights I'm not going to see anything, hear anything. Well, you usually hear something. You usually hear some animals, but most nights, it's just me out here getting some fresh air. So, I hope you enjoy my little adventures. No, I don't have the gift of gab. Maybe that'll come as I get more used to doing this type of stuff. But I just want to document a little bit because, like I said, it's the cryptid communities and the Bigfoot community. There's some great people that I've been associated with over the past few years. And it wasn't so much like that in the early years. In the early years, you were either idiot for believing or the people who were the so-called experts. If it didn't happen to them, then you still didn't know what you were talking about. So, but there's a lot of things changed, you know, with a lot of the people I've met in the community, and you know, I've learned a lot from them, things that I didn't know. And like I said, I've been doing this for 40 years without documenting. There's other people who've been doing it longer than me, but there's a lot of people who have been doing it a lot less time than I have that I've learned a lot from. But I do believe, you know, whether or not we prove that these creatures exist, I do believe that we need to work together and not be so critical of outsiders that do it. You know, because there's some amateurs, and I'm by no means an expert. But like I said, I've been doing this for 40 years, and I'm not an expert. And I can't do the things I used to do because I am at an older age and I have had some health issues. But you know, anything I've learned through the years, I would gladly share with the newcomers, because a lot of the newcomers can get out and do things I can't do anymore. And you know, it's important to share what you know, and you know, and if you're out here doing it, just document it. You know, you never find nothing, but it doesn't hurt to document, and I'm learning that. So like I said, in the early days, we didn't have a way to do this kind of stuff. And I'm going to flip the camera around, and yeah, it's a very dark road. I've got my bright lights on, and you still can barely see. May make a couple more stops and listen again. Looks like a good spot right up here to pull over. There's a lot of water in the road over there though. A little flooding happened with the storms that came through. We'll get out of the truck for a minute here. The winds are really picking up. Maybe another storm coming in. It's a lot quieter on this end of the road. Let's travel on. Okay, just saw a fox cross the road up here. Looks like it's upside down. Where he went. Change the camera angle a little bit, but we're driving back down this old wooded road. Back up here there'd be swamps on either side of us. It's hard to see, I know. I apologize for that. I do have my bright lights on, but cameras don't always pick up everything. to the original topic, though, you know, people will often say, you know, why would we not see more of these things? And as I pointed out, you don't see many bear, you don't see as many foxes. Something in the road ahead. You do see raccoons and possums, and I believe that's what that is there, is a possum. Coming up on now, yeah, a little possum. You do see smaller animals, but very seldom do you ever see a bear. You don't see that many coyotes, although you hear them. And there's a lot fewer Sasquatch than there are coyotes. And there's a lot fewer bear than there are coyotes. There's a lot fewer very seldom around here do you see a live armadillo. We find a lot of dead ones, but very seldom do you see one alive. You see a lot of possums. I'm not the most eloquent speaker, but I think you guys get what I'm going for. There's animals out there that we don't see that often. Like, there's quite a few bear in this area, and I've only seen a handful in my life in this area. Now, if you go to the Smoky Mountains and Cades Cove area, and of course you're going to see them, because they bring them in, they protect them, and they have got used to humans, so much so that they come into town. That's not the case here. You know, the bears hide. And if there's a Squatch, there's a lot fewer of those than there are bear, and they're a lot smarter than bear. And of course they're hidden. I think I'm gonna wrap this one up. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Hopefully it's not too long and lost your interest, but it's mostly just for my own documentation anyway. So we're gonna drive on and come back another night. Thanks for watching, and keep believing.